I got a kid coming in a couple months here. It's my first kid. I don't like, what do I do, Michael? I don't know. You tell me, bro. I don't know.
I'll tell you what you do.
Man.
It's 2 words. Show up. That's it,
Show
man.
up.
Show up.
Hey.
That's 90% of it. And the rest of it you figure out along the way. So you got this, bro. You got it. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to this week's very, very cool edition of the Stay Human podcast. I've got a guest on that I'm very excited to learn more about since we were on the Soulshine at Sea cruise together. And as always, we want to give a big shout out to Gibson Guitars for sponsoring this week's episode of the podcast. Go see them in Nashville at the Gibson Garage if you have a chance. It's an incredible living history of the electric guitar there. And they make incredible instruments that you can just pick up and play and have a great time learning about the history of the instrument. Our guest today formed the 6-piece band Tropidelic in 2005 while jamming in the dorms at Kent State University in Ohio and quickly elevating themselves in the live circuit. Tropidelic can now be found spreading their soulful sound across the country in both intimate venues and music festivals. Following on the success of their 2019 release, Here in the Heights, which debuted at number 2 on the Billboard reggae charts, Tropidelic has released a series of impressive singles and has amassed over 5 million streams. So please welcome to the podcast, Matt Rhodes. Matt, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Where are you right now?
I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, in my home rehearsal space / studio.
Nice. Are you from Cleveland originally?
No, I was born and bred in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Went to Kent State. Got my degree in business, and I ended up up here.
Okay. When you were going to school and for business, did you think like, okay, I'm going to do this because I want to be in the music, quote unquote business, or was it music something that kind of just happened and shot off along the way? Or
yeah, I like was forced to play the saxophone in like the church band. I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah. And
after years and years of fighting, I said, I can't, let me do something else here. They gave me a guitar, and I was, 7th or 8th grade. So music was always a part of my life. And I started this band just like partying with friends in college, not forever a second thinking that this was going to be all I was going to do. I mean, I was in college because I was told that there wasn't really an option, it was like, you're going to go to college, And then, I got my degree, went to work, and I still just kind of band. It was just like a hobby, weekend worn. And after maybe 5-6 years, I was like, you know what? It's not going to be my life, man. Like, I'm not going to sit behind this desk.
Yeah.
This can't be it for me.
What was your job at that time?
I worked as an environmental project manager for hazmat related incidents. So it was stressful stuff, but it was rewarding. I liked it. But yeah, so it became too much where it just wasn't like fulfilling me in a way that I was only discovering that I needed to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I made a pretty drastic switch at that point to prioritize, doing this music thing. And that was like many, 6, 7, 8 years after like the band even really, I first started the band. So I was pretty like late to the game as far as the tour game, and everything else came much later.
Yeah. When you were growing up in Pittsburgh, what was your house like? Did you have brothers and sisters? And what did your folks do?
My mom was 100% Italian. Both the parents came from Italy. So we had like a grandfather staying with me for a while. He was like Italian first language. She was a school teacher. And my old man was in the military. He was in the Air Force. So I had like a disciplinarian figure there. And two brothers I had. So like, my dad was in Desert Storm. He'd go overseas. I think he's been to most of the continents now, and then during, after 9/11, he worked as a mechanic, on the airlines. After 9/11, he lost his job after like 17 years. So that was a tough time for us. But a very blue collar upbringing.
How old were you at that time?
Was that 2001, like 15, something like that, like just getting into high school, I guess.
Yeah. Do you remember the day you came home and said, I'm out of work? Do you remember that time? And
I don't remember that, but I remember my mom just like leaning us into it for so long. This is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And she kind of passed along to me. She's like, she tends to worry And I think that, I see it in my grandmother, to her, to me, like, I just, you worry. So she was like leading us up to it. It's going to be rough when this happens. Cause they got wind of it before it all kind of went down like this. But they worked hard. Like, they just recently retired, and they did well for themselves. They saved, they raised some strong, smart boys, successful boys. Everybody's doing great. Like I said, I got one that's overseas working, does well. And then I got another that lives down in Atlanta, who's also, he works in medical. He does real well as well.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for them, and everybody's doing great. I'm kind of like the black sheep, I guess.
Yeah. Well, tell me about that. Were you always that guy? Were you always the one that was kind of doing different stuff or getting into trouble? I mean, what was it like for you?
Yeah. I mean, out of the three of us, I'd say, but there was something always like, I guess there was always something like a little off with me, more so, I guess. Which led me to the other things in life, I'm pretty open about it, but like, later on, I'm an addict and alcoholic, and I'm not like ashamed to say it. Been sober for over 5 years now from any booze or hard drugs or anything like that. So, but I was always a little off. I was always a soul searcher. I was always looking for like what the meaning is, and and for a long time I could never find it. I don't even know where to begin to look. And it's not really till I dove into music that I start to feel a little bit better. And it's not really till I got sober till I actually like felt better, So yeah, I was on my own path, I guess, pretty early on.
Yeah. And your dad being in the military, was he away a lot?
Yeah, he was. He worked the night shift too. Like, he worked at 3 to 11 at the airport. A lot of that time. But it's not like he was absent or anything. Yeah. He was around. He was loving. But yeah, my mom, like, she busted ass. She she worked a full-time job. Dad would be at work at nights, and she'd come home, take care of the kids, pack all the lunches. Like I said, I had my grandfather there for a while that needed help. So she she was awesome. She still is.
My mom was a school teacher too. So I know the teacher's life. They go to school, they work all day, and then they come home. In my case, it was 5 kids, and we would just be ripping the house to shreds. My mom would be dealing with 30 kids all day long. And then it was like she came home and had to deal with us. We're just, at each other's throats all the time. And
right.
My mom was also, she carried that disciplinarian vibe, but she was also, just to keep the 5 kids in line. But she was also someone who kind of nurtured each of our paths. She would always just say to me, like, you be you, you don't try to be like what other kids tell you to do. Don't follow what other people say just because they're saying it. Think for yourself. And that led me to be open to expressing myself and finding other ways to be. And it was because she was a teacher, she would deal with 30 kids and they were all different, and she saw that. How do you think being a teacher's kid affected you?
It's a good question. I guess I had never been anybody else's kid, so I don't have a lot of perspective. You know what I'm saying? She did. She embraced us. She supported us no matter what we wanted to do. It was never like a hard line. Other than education was important. That was a big part of it. Like, there was expectations there.
Was it easy for you?
Yeah.
Was school easy for you, or was it hard? Or
I mean, I wasn't like a flunky, but like college was tough. My mind needed some assistance to get through college. But I think I got like a 3.0 or something. So I wasn't like, I wasn't that tough, I guess. But no, I did all right. And I was like, I was like a fairly popular kid in school. I had like a little band in high school, played ball, played basketball. But like I said, there was always kind of something missing, which I think inevitably like kind of is like what led me down the path later in life, you know? But no, she was great. And I actually listened to you. I came in, sat down and listened to you tell your story on the boat about meeting your birth father and talking about your mom and your siblings and stuff. Man, that was great. It was like super eye-opening to me, because like the whole storytelling aspect of that cruise in particular, like we have a festival we host and stuff. It's got all kind of ideas turned in my head, but that was I listened to a few others too, the storytellers from the people. It was great, man. Yeah. Really great.
It's really amazing when you hear somebody, you learn about their life, you can't help but, empathize with them and fall in love with them, and as musicians, a lot of times they see us, the audience will see us on stage and we're kind of like, we're at our best, like the instruments are tuned up, the PA is loud, we're rehearsed, we know what we're doing. There's space for us to be experimental and freeform and adjust to and respond to anything that's happening out there. but it's really, the lights are on in the best way. And then we come off stage and they're not always on in the best way. We have hurt in our lives, and we have relationships that are messed up, and we have addiction, and we have, pain from other experiences, and we go through economic hardships and ups and downs. And what I want to talk to you about recovery, because I come from a household of alcoholics, and I've been in adult children of alcoholics and Al-Anon meetings for a long time, and just trying to put my life together because of it. And if you don't mind, would you mind sharing, part of your recovery journey?
Yeah. And it's not typical. I mean, everyone's story is different. Everyone's got their own, no matter whatever you're doing. I mean, everyone's got their own path. So yeah, I overdid it, and I overdid it for such a long time that it was one weekend on the road, and, getting into stuff, and I came home and stuff wasn't right, and I knew it wasn't right. And I went to the doctor, and they said, like, bro, like, whatever you're doing here, like, if you keep it up, like, you're done. And honestly, like, I was thankful, because that was all it took for me. I was like, you know what? I'd say if this is life or death, like, I'm choosing life.
Yeah.
And that was 5+ years ago.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just casual. It was like, I was putting myself in dangerous situations, almost to the point where it wasn't just about the addiction itself. It's like I was addicted to, like, putting myself in danger, and it got to the point where it was extremely selfish. But there would be things like, where I would just be like on the freeway, and I'd be like, I'm going to close my eyes. Like, I'm going to do it for 10 seconds to see how it goes. Not because I wanted to, like, end it, but because I, like, didn't care that much, and I was flirting with this, like, danger, So it's just an example of, like, it got in a real bad spot, and there's nothing really, like, nothing in my family that I witnessed or anything like that. So it's always been a constant thing for me, like, where does this come from? How do I, address this? And I only started to get the answers when I put everything down,
Yeah. How has it affected your musical journey now? You started playing music, and then you've gone through this, really hard time, and then now you're in recovery. And how has your music evolved as a result of that?
I guess there's much more brighter outlook on a lot of it. From a career perspective, it was like, I mean, not just personally, career-wise, night and day. From when I got sober, like, everything, just like the trajectory, it was always kind of just on a gradual tilt, but it went like this. And people were saying that to me for years, like, oh, you won't believe it. It'll be like totally different life. Like, everything will change. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. It was legitimately on a career path, just like went in a whole other direction, which reinforced, my decision to, like, kind of step away from what otherwise would have been a life behind a desk. But yeah, the music too. I'm more inspired by what's actually true to me inside, and not whatever's floating through my veins at the time, or my head. It's more real, I should say, I guess.
Yeah. I want to talk about Tropidelic now, and just learn the origin of how you guys got started. And for folks who've never heard their music, go and search it out and find it and listen to it. They do really great music, and also incredible live performances, and that's what I love about you guys. And I've reached out to my manager, and I was like, I saw a video of yours before the cruise, and I was like, we got to get these guys on the boat. These guys are awesome. And then having seen you guys on the boat, I was like, I'd love to get you guys out on the road with us this summer. So they're going to be doing a bunch of dates with us. But talk about the band and how you guys formed, and what kind of, I guess, like, for lack of a better word, what is your musical mission as a band? What's your intention?
Early on, so we've had a few different lineups and stuff like that, but this lineup of guys has been around, is what most people know as the band, and it's been 7 or 8 years or so. But even before them, it was always kind of our intent that, like, we're not going to just stand there and play our instruments. Like, we want to make this a show. We want to be different. We want to stand out, especially, like I said, at the time, I had no expectation of this being something that pays my bills. I mean, touring. I mean, we're from Kent, Ohio. It took us like 5 years to play Cleveland. Like, yeah. It wasn't in a thought process. But even back then, we said, it's particularly in Ohio, there's nobody making this reggae stuff. like Sublime was like a big influence. It's like, why don't we do something like this? It's particularly out here, like nobody's doing. But that's how far my vision was. I was never thinking about the country or the world or any, who's listening on Spotify. So it was always like, regardless of who was in the band or whatever, it'd be a freaking show. We had hype guys in the band that would just like swing nunchucks. And, we used to have a guy that wore a mask. He would play the percussion. Like, it's always, we had all kind of antics and stuff constantly. And, we try to hold down the music side too, but like, we just want to make it entertaining, because I feel like it's so often, it's just kind of go up there and focus on like, really the craft crap. And sometimes the actual show part falls to the wayside.
Yeah. And so when you guys started going, do you remember that first like gig that you did out of your town? We were like, man, we're going somewhere else for the first time. Do you remember what that felt like?
Yeah. So like, we're hustlers hard too. So like back at Kent State, we used to sell little weed. The money we'd raise, we go into the computer labs. And this is when I was still CD era. So I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
We'd shut down 30 computers in the computer lab, burn all the demos. And then we go out and in between classes and pass out free demos to everybody. And we did that for like years. I think we passed out 10,000 demos. But even in the early days, our first tour ever, we were in a school bus that we renovated ourselves. We drove to Denver and we sat on the 6th Avenue. I forget what it's called, where all the street performers are.
Yeah.
And we put a battery powered speaker on top of the bus, stood on top of the bus and played there. We did the same thing in South by Southwest. So we were just like, we would just grind anybody that could listen to us, take a free demo, playing in the street. We made more money playing in the street than we did at those shows we booked on that tour, and neither one was a lot of money, it was just a couple $100, but we didn't figure out, we were showerless for like 6 days. We couldn't figure out even how to like get a gym membership, It's kind of what we do now. So it was hella stupid, but a very important stuff to kind of get us where we are. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
This is Carl,
Good,
our
man.
bass player. He's joined. He just walked in the room. And Carl, I'm talking to Tropidelic, Matt Rhodes.
Yeah.
And, we're just talking about how when we first started and, that first gig that you do kind of outside your hometown, you know what I mean? And you're like, you're just getting out there. Do you remember us when we were just hitting the road for the first couple shows?
Oh my God. Yeah, man. I remember getting in the van, grabbing all our gear and driving away. Actually the first, with you and I, with Spearhead, it was actually in Europe, and we had a big splinter van, and we had this huge transformer. Transformers are this big nowadays. This thing was 3 feet tall, 4 feet wide, weighed about 150 pounds. And we had to carry that around every gig to make sure that we could plug our instruments in. It was pretty incredible. But I'll never forget the experience and all the long driving and, taking turns and sitting up in the van and getting to the gig, whatever we had to do to get to the gig. That's what we did. It was pretty awesome.
What was that? What year was that? What was the first
That was 1994.
94? Because I remember watching Hole in the Bucket video, like when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
And that was probably like 90, was it
94,
96,
95.
Like
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That was when that was when we first started. I had a band before that. I had 2 bands before that. One was called the Beatniks, and we put our first record out in 1987. And then Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy, we put our record out in 92. And then, and both those bands broke up, and I just felt like this deep disappointment, man. Like I got to do something that is really can last, and can have evolution to it. You know what I mean? And so when I made the first Spearhead record, it was just me alone with some studio musicians. But quickly after that, Carl came on board, and some of the other musicians that now we've been playing together with. What has Monas been with us for?
Monas is 22 years.
22 years. Jay's like 17 years.
17 years, yeah.
But you really become, a family, and you guys are newer than we are. But do Do you feel that sense of family, like, and brotherhood, and like just connection and commitment with the guys in your band?
I do. It's not more evident than it is that, like, we were just all in. Trumpet player got married this weekend. We were all down in Florida at his wedding.
Nice.
And like his family's there. I mean, like the band family is a big portion of the people there. And it's just like, you know, we're all kind of like growing up and going through this serious life stuff, and everyone's kind of there for each other. We're all experiencing it together. It's pretty beautiful. Like I was just kind of looking around. We were at this nice place in Tampa. He's like, he's getting married. Like everything's going great. It's just like super cool. I got a kid coming in a couple months here.
Oh, man.
It's just wild.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm having a kid. It's my first kid. I don't like, what do I do, Michael? I don't know. You tell me, bro. I don't know.
I'll tell you what you do.
Man.
It's 2 words. Show up. That's it.
Show
man.
up.
Show up.
Hey,
you know,
I plan to.
And that's 90% of it. And the rest of it you figure out along the way. And you know, you've had 2 really strong parents in your life, and you've seen the things that really work from them, and you've seen the things that maybe didn't work so well from them, and you kind of make it up as you go along. But I guess the most rewarding part of having a child is that you just look into this being that wasn't there and suddenly is there, you know, and then from that moment forward forever, you're forever connected. You know, you're forever connected. And so you got this, bro. You got it.
That's good advice. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. Do you know if you're having a boy or a girl?
I do, but this doesn't come out for a while. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, you don't have to say. You don't have to say. Yeah.
Man,
keep it a secret, man.
Don't say it.
Keep it a secret. What's something that you are looking forward to as a father? Like when you envision being a father, I remember when my first kid was born, we conceived him, I was 20 years old, you know, and I was just like, oh man, like, what am I going to do? Like I was in this little, you know, young band. I was going to school. I was throwing underground parties late at night in San Francisco and doing all these things. I was playing basketball at the university. I was like, this really full life. And then suddenly I'm thinking like, man, now I've got this child I've got to take care of, and I've got to earn a living, and can I go to school? And I quit playing basketball, and I, you know, and I was in a band, and I was like thinking, I got to stop this, you know, and get a job with the cable company or something, you know, and so I had all this fear, but there was also some anticipation for me of like, this is going to be really amazing, because as for me, the biggest feeling for me was, as a kid who was adopted, or given up for adoption at birth, was like, wow, I'm going to know my first blood relative. Like that was really exciting for me. So what is it that, you know, for you is you kind of looking forward to?
I think it's a lot of what you just said there, man. I'm looking forward to having, you know, a little friend around here.
Yeah.
You know, and I do. I want, you know, I plan to be a father, obviously, but a friend, you know.
Yeah.
And I want there to be, you know, maybe I won't be so strict, you know, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to this for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
I'm older than I thought I'd be when I have my first kid. So like, I'm ready, man.
How old are you
I'm
now?
ready, but I'm 30. I just turned 37.
Oh.
I don't say it too often, but yeah. But I'm asking myself a lot of those same questions you probably asked yourself back then. It was like, how am I going to make this all work, man? I'm on the road. So it's like so much, like, what am I going to do here? Like, you know, childcare, everything else. But I'm old enough now where I'm mature enough to know like, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Like, I'll make it work.
Nice. Carl, you got any questions for him?
What are you working on musically right now? What's going on with you?
There we go. There's the money. I got a new record. We just finished recording. So it'll be out in the summertime at some point. And then got some big touring coming up. We're going on tour with Irish in May.
Oh, nice.
A bunch of dates with Michael here in June, July. And then we also have we got 2 festivals we host each summer. And one's in May in Garrettsville, Ohio, a place called Nelson Ledges Quarry Park. You ever been at Nelson Ledges? Super memorable place. You'd remember it if you did. Anyway, it's called Sunny Days, SMA, and we got Iration on that, Pacifier, a bunch of others. And then our primary festival is in August towards Columbus, Ohio. It's called Everwild, and we got Dirty Heads on this year. We got Hyrie on,
Nice.
Bumpin' Uglies, and a bunch of others. So the big focus is on the summer months here.
Awesome.
That's awesome. When was it? Now, how was it touring for you during the pandemic? Did you go out at all last year, or what did you guys do? How did you guys get along?
We hustled. Like, we just been hustling since day one. So as soon as the pandemic hit, we were like one of the first ones around here, at least as far as I know, to hit the live streams, and they did really well for us.
Awesome. Yeah.
You know, they to a point, and then they would trickle off. But we were one of the first ones around here. We were renting out drive-in movie theaters out here in the backwood, and we were doing that way early on in the pandemic. And then we're doing private parties. We probably did 30, 40 backyards.
Wow. Awesome.
Over the last 2 summers. So we're doing everything we could just to stay working, you know. And there was select stuff that would do the outdoors, you know, segmented sort of seating or whatever. We do those too, but anything we possibly could. And we were fortunate to be able to stay working when a lot of people, you know, couldn't, like, you know.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Right on. Hey, we got one last question for you, which is, what does it mean to you to stay human? What does it mean to be human, and how do you stay that way?
Staying grounded, I think. Remembering where you come from. Yeah, don't let anything go to your head, and don't take anything too serious either. I guess that's my thought. That's another. We share that philosophy as a group too. It's like, it's not all so serious, bro. It's just enjoy it, you know, and try to have fun. And I guess it's staying grounded, you know.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Matt. Folks can find Tropidelic in all the, you know, places: Instagram, Facebook, their website, and go and do a deep dive on their music right now. If you've never heard it before, there's tons of great songs there and awesome live shows. They'll be out on the road with us a bit this summer, and
it's gonna be great.
We really look forward to having you guys out with us. So,
absolutely.
On behalf of the Mighty Gibson Guitars, thank you for sponsoring this week's edition of the podcast. And as always, remember to stay human. Peace, y'all.
Peace.